He denounced America's enemies, left his home country, and became a citizen of the United States. So what was the FBI's problem with Albert Einstein? And why did it prevent him from working on the atomic bomb? In August 1939, Albert Einstein sent an urgent letter to United States President Franklin D. Roosevelt. By the time he penned the letter with his friend Leo Szilard, Einstein was world famous. He had already become synonymous with his 1905 equation energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, or E equals mc squared, and had won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921. In the letter, Einstein warned, "It is conceivable that extremely powerful bombs of a new type may thus be constructed."
There was, however, one certainty. If the atomic bomb detonated, the world would never be the same.
2 months later in October, after Roosevelt discussed Einstein's letter with his friend and unofficial advisor Alexander Sachs, Roosevelt laid the foundation for what would become the Manhattan Project, which would ultimately produce the country's first nuclear weapons. While Einstein gets credit for pushing the US to begin developing a nuclear weapons program, he wouldn't be a part of it. The government of his adopted homeland believed he held dangerous beliefs and kept him at arm's length. When Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany on January 30, 1933, ushering in the violent persecution of Jews and millions of others, Albert Einstein became a major target for his outspoken views against the Nazis and his belief in pacifism. The Nazis in turn froze his family's bank accounts, ransacked their property, and even put a price on his head. In response, Einstein renounced his German citizenship and fled to the English countryside, telling a Time journalist, "I shall become a naturalized Englishman as soon as it is possible for my papers to go through." However, that same year, Einstein moved to the United States, began working at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey, and became a U.S. citizen in 1940. Despite his American citizenship, contributions to science, and advance warning to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the U.S. government ostracized Einstein. Beginning in 1932, J. Edgar Hoover, the autocratic head of the FBI, kept a file on Einstein that would eventually run up to 1,427 pages long by the time of the scientist's death in 1955. Among Einstein's sins, in the eyes of Hoover, were his views against racism and capitalism. Hoover suspected he was a communist and at the least, quote, an extreme radical, according to National Geographic. Albert Einstein believed in putting his moral belief into action. When it came to racism in his adopted country, he spoke out against it and backed it with his deeds. When a Princeton, New Jersey hotel denied the African-American opera singer Marian Anderson a room, Einstein and his wife Elsa asked her to stay with them, cementing what would become an enduring friendship. He became a member of the civil rights organization, the NAACP, and in 1946 spoke at the historically black Lincoln University. Speaking on segregation, he said, according to Smithsonian, "It is a disease of white people."
The NAACP would become one of the leading protest organizations in the United States.
He was also friends with the African-American singer and activist Paul Robeson and co-chaired ACAL, or the American Crusade Against Lynching, which Robeson had founded. Einstein later also offered to testify on behalf of the writer and civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois following his 1951 indictment. The case was ultimately dismissed, according to National Geographic. On October 19, 1939, President Franklin D. Roosevelt replied to Albert Einstein's letter and told the famous physicist that he had set up a committee made up of civilian and military representatives to look into studying uranium, the precursor to the Manhattan Project. The next July, the U.S. Army Intelligence Office denied Einstein the security clearance he would need to be a part of the Manhattan Project because of his political and social beliefs. Not only was he denied direct involvement, but the government also barred any of the scientists working on the project from consulting with him. Einstein didn't seem to be bothered by this rejection. He later expressed regrets in sending the 1939 letter, telling Newsweek that if he had known the Germans wouldn't develop the atomic bomb, he, quote, would have done nothing. After the bombing of Hiroshima, Einstein became an anti-nuclear activist, telling the New York Times, "The unleashed power of the atom has changed everything save our modes of thinking, and we thus drift toward unparalleled catastrophe."